Hello everyone, my name is Sara, and today we're hosting another segment of the NOVAsia podcast. I am joined with three guests. One is actually from NOVAsia. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. My name is Foteini. I'm from Greece. I am a first semester ITFM major, and I'm junior editor at NOVAsia.
Great. And then...
my name is Kula. I'm from Hawaii. I am currently a first semester student at Ewha GSIS. My major is international relations, and I'm really happy to be here.
So my name is Victoria. I'm actually from Italy, and I'm also at Ewha University, and I'm a graduate student, and my major is development cooperation.
Thank you guys so much for making time in your day to come join us to film this podcast. So today we're just going to be talking about women's studies, women in academics, and just kind of really get to know each other and how we've experienced our academic histories. So perhaps to start off with, would you like to go into, have you ever had interest or ever studied in women's studies?
I had interest. I actually was telling the girls before that I applied to Ewha as well, and I was accepted. But in the end, I eventually chose Yonsei. But yeah, I haven't studied women's studies before.
Okay.
Personally, my academic record does not include women's studies, but I picked Ewha because when I first came to campus in 2013, I was still a high school junior, I believe. But as soon as I came to campus, I was like, this is it. This is where I'm meant to be. And so I put the order in the universe, and here I am as a graduate student. So I'm really, really happy with that choice.
So about me, actually my bachelor's, I had some women's study courses, and I also worked for an organization who worked with the organization who fights against gender violence, and I actually was a little bit skeptical to come at Ewha because obviously all women's university, so I was like, I want to have all opinions, not only women's opinions. But now I'm quite happy about it because seeing like professors, students, which are really smart, and especially professors who are like in high roles in society, like diplomats, politicians, it's quite inspiring me to know if like I can actually be somebody in this world by learning from this professor. So I'm more than happy to study at Ewha.
That's fantastic. I also applied to Ewha Womans University and ended up choosing Yonsei University. But I am currently taking a class at Ewha Womans University with these two. And we're in a course that's regarding women global leadership. So I was actually wondering if you guys had any women leaders or role models in your life that you've looked to, or anyone that, when you think about leadership and women in leadership roles, that your mind immediately goes to.
Do you want to go first?
Yes, I can go first. So while I quite have some role models and also some women leaders in mind. So first of all, obviously looking at my family, I have my mom and my sister. So my mom, I would like for you to know a little bit of her story. I will try to be as short as possible, but
we want to hear it.
So I come from a place I was born in Moldova. It's an Eastern European country in between Ukraine and Romania. And after the Soviet Union collapsed, the country was devastated, like economically, financially, and there was like a lot of struggles for my family too. So obviously we need to survive, and somehow my mom decided to move to Italy to find a job. And so I grew up like all my childhood without my mom, but it's okay, and then since the situation was that bad, because obviously there were some struggles in my family also with my dad, my mom decided that it was time for me and my sister to move to Italy. And my mom was 27 when me and my sister, 27, I don't remember exactly, but when we moved to Italy, and she had to work like 5 jobs per day, only for me and my sister, to have a future, she gave up her goals, her dreams, only for me and my sister to accomplish our dreams and to live a normal life, you know. So I think she, as a parent, did not give up her responsibilities, and I think that's quite impressive and really interesting and nice, you know. So that's my first role model, obviously, and I'm always happy to tell everybody about my mom. So I'm happy that you listen, and obviously my sister, because she's older than me. And she helped me also when mom was working in Italy. She was not that often with us, but she was there for me always, with helping me with the struggles that I had, and having, you know, almost like I felt like she was almost like my friend there for me. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us.
That's awesome. For me, I have two role models, I would say, in my life. And the first is my bestest friend. Her name is Sophia, and I met her at Make-A-Wish. We were both interns, and I remember this meeting because, and it's very, very special and a very significant point in my life. We were grouped into threes, so three of us, three of you. And she's sitting in front of me, and I'm thinking, okay, well, it looks like I'm going to have to pull the weight of this group because I normally take the responsibility of being the speaker or the representative. And so I think this girl in the front of me, she's not going to do that. She's going to be she's going to be basic. I'm going to have to pull her weight. And then the moment she turned around, our eyes locked, and it was like magic. Like I knew that I had met my equal. It was like being cut from the same cloth, being like sparked from the same fire. Just that level and that depth, I just knew right then and there. And she smiled at me, and we were both like, what is this? But 3 years on, and she is an incredible person. She is resilient. She is outspoken. She is empathetic to others. She's kind. She's open-minded, and she's honest, and she's accountable for any of her actions. And she's very self-reflective. And that's not something I think we see in a lot of society, whether it's men or women, where you say, oh, actually, I think I did that wrong. I think I handled that incorrectly, or I think I could have done this better. And she's very good at being accountable for that, or thinking, oh, okay, I better say I'm sorry, and say, okay, I know I messed up, and next time this happens, I will be sure to catch myself and do it correctly the next time around. And that's something I really value and just look up to her for. And then I have another close friend who's she's a spiritual healer. And so I know that that's something that you don't really come across too often, but you would think that when someone is spiritual, they kind of think hippie, like, okay, herbs and like rituals and whatnot. But she is like a rock star. She is like, no, I want this, and I want this and this and this and this and this. And she's like a complete opposite of what you would think a spiritual person looks like. But as much as she's like Sophia, she'll be like, okay, I could have handled that a lot better, or she's very self-aware, she's grounded, and she's open-minded, but she's also very honest with other people. And when she not criticizes people, but when she says, hey, like that wasn't cool, she doesn't say it in a way that's condescending to others. She's very empathetic as well, so she knows how to critique people without hurting their feelings. And so I think that's something that some people kind of look up to. It's like, hey, like, you're able to point out people's flaws or people's troubling behaviors without being considered rude or just condescending or arrogant. But yeah, they just exemplify qualities that I hope to embody as an individual. So I really look up to them.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
So for me, I would also like to say my mother and my grandmother, because they have indeed saved me as a person. But actually, I was back in Greece before the pandemic started. I was working at the first female center, at the first center of female entrepreneurship in Greece, and I was coordinator for trainings for women. And so I had the opportunity to meet a lot of inspiring women entrepreneurs. And I really think that I should mention one of my friends and colleagues that really influenced me and motivated me for at least the past 7 years that I've known her. Her name is Gabriella, and I met her in Italy, I think 7 years ago. She's also from Greece, so she's from my home country. And when I first met her, I really could see that she had this amazing energy about her, this spark, I would say. And we finish our program, we come back to Greece, and then after a few months, I see that she has a workshop that she's doing. It's called Labyrinth of Senses, and it's a disability awareness workshop. So she's educating people from all ages in regards to human rights, disability awareness, accessibility, inclusion, and all this. And she started asking about volunteers to help her. And I was like, wow, this sounds amazing. I had no idea you were doing this, Gabriella. Like, sign me up, I'm coming. So I go to the first training. She really inspired us, gave us her message. We understood what she wanted, and we all helped. And then fast forward a few years later, like 2019, she creates her own social enterprise. And she's doing not only this workshop, but a lot of other education-based workshops. Labyrinth of Senses got recognized as a good and innovative practice by the UN, as a, best practice on disability. And she is going and she's doing so many amazing things on sustainable development, on women empowerment, youth empowerment, accessibility. She even got awards from the European Commission and everything, but that's not the reason that I'm mentioning her. The reason is that from out of all the women or maybe close friends that I've met, Gabriella has this amazing power to see right through you and find that spark you have, that passion you have. If you're good at doing something, she takes that out, develops it, and then she helps you give back to your community and do something like social change. And I mean, if we're talking about women leadership, I think that's what a true leader does. They don't go alone. They bring you with them. They empower you. So yeah, I would definitely say Gabriella on that one.
It's amazing. I'm glad that you all have these something that have a friend or a family member who have inspired, but also that have taken you along on this trip or have helped you open up to these different things. Because I think that sometimes that's lacking is sometimes that people don't necessarily find that role model or they don't get exposed to those role models. In my life, I know of 2 women who are very high in their positions and work very long hours, and they're both single mothers who manage to find time to balance both family life, but also manage to find time to dedicate to their work life. And that was never something that was growing up. I'd always seen the nuclear family, the units, where you had to have 2 parents, whether it be 2 moms, 2 dads, or 1 mom, 1 dad. I had never really gotten exposed to single parent life, but then I realized that yes, it is possible, and that all of these things they can be normalized, and they're normalized once we get exposed to them and once we get to see them. And then those 2 women have now become very influential in terms of inspiring me to be more to be able to find that balance of family and work life, but not necessarily need to rely on someone else to achieve those things. That you can do it on your own, and there's no shame in doing it on your own.
Yeah.
It's just a different way of running things. When it comes to the world of academics, you 2 are now at a women's university.
Yes.
And you weren't at a women's university for your undergraduate degrees. Right. Do you see a difference in the atmospheres or the environment?
Definitely. Yeah. I'll go first. And it's interesting because I had never really seriously considered being at a women's university growing up, because I had always been in a co-ed school. So you think, okay, I'm used to that balance between having guys and having girls. But then when I saw Ewha, I was like, no, I'm supposed to be here. I'm meant to be here. And yes, I do feel this sense of unity and, I don't know, just very comfortable in the presence of other powerful females. I'm willing to talk about this, but there's also a sense of like competitiveness, like within a female-dominated environment, and it's kind of normal even outside of school. Like you'll see that in your personal life, you'll see that in a work life. Like it's just school is not immune to that type of environment. But even beyond that, there's still something empowering about having a women kind of exclusive environment. And even despite that, you can still have powerful, empathetic, kind, generous, honest, good vibes type of people. So you can still find that gem in the midst of so many other factors.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my little brief.
Yeah. So I don't know about the experience of the undergraduate situation at Ewha, but I can talk about my graduate experience in Ewha. So during my bachelor degree back in Italy, obviously it was a mixed university, like boys and girls and any kind of gender. But I mean, in my bachelor degree experience was quite nice. I did my thesis, my studies, and everything was as it was supposed to be, you know. But when I came to Ewha, when I was searching for a university to come here in Korea, I stumbled upon Ewha, and as I told you before, I saw it's like all women university. So I was like, okay. It's like, okay, that's okay. Let's check their program. And when I checked their program, so I'm gonna be honest with you, I loved it because they have. I'm not gonna put a lot of emphasis on the women because yes, it's as Kula said, it's a calm environment. You feel safe there, and it should not feel like this, you know.
Right.
We should not feel like, why should we feel safe, you know, if we're discussing about problems. But still, I feel like I'm a part of that warm community, and I don't, as you said about competitiveness, but I do not feel that competitive because in each class I had so much fun and so much interaction, and the professors for me are like true professors, as professors should be, like not putting that competition in the students. They really are there to teach you, and they are really there to give you the knowledge that you are craving for, you know. And I would like also to underline that their study program, and this is something that I would also tell like somebody who wants to apply to Ewha, that it's really a flexible program. You can choose different courses. You can interact with other. Even though you have the major, you can take other courses, as it's all for graduate programs, you know. But when you get in these courses, the preparation, you know, the preparation that this professor has, the materials that they give, there's so many programs and so many projects that they have that you feel like you're exploring a new world, a new complete universe, you know. So for me, Ewha, it's not that distinctive. Obviously, it's distinctive because it's a women university, but it's more about how they constructed their program and how they welcome students. Because I feel that as the staff there, they are really working for me to get the best knowledge that I can have, the best preparation for the work that I will face in the future. I do feel like they are there for me. So this is why I really wanted to point it out, this fact.
Of course. So we're not at Ewha Womans University, we're at Yonsei. And I don't know about you, but at my undergraduate level, a lot of in the communications field, a lot of the professors were women. So I was not at a women's university, it was mixed. But I had almost majority women professors in my undergraduate. So when I was looking at graduate schools, I actually looked at Ewha Women's because I wanted to have female professors. And what I noticed was at a lot of the other institutions, it was very male dominated. I couldn't find female professors. And if there were female professors, they weren't tenured. They were visiting. They were there for like one semester. And you're new to Yonsei, so I don't know if you've had many female professors this semester, but a lot of them here are also very sessional. So you can't have them as a thesis supervisor. You're not able to do that because they have to be tenured.
Right.
And then they'll teach 1 or 2 courses. And then once you've taken all those courses, you've taken all of their courses. You have to start taking from the other ones. And the male professors here are very good. They're all very good professors.
Right.
But when I'm looking for a female professor, it's a little bit harder. But I chose Yonsei because it has some female professors, which I noticed other universities were actually very lacking in. So it's still a little bit... There still needs, I think, to be some diversity amongst professors.
Yeah, definitely. It's okay if I mention something. Even with our professors, and you're talking about wanting to decrease that disparity between male professors and female professors, I think also including female professors, like there's like this sense of wanting to have a mentorship with them and really looking for that. And despite gender, like because there can be male professors and you're like, wow, I would love to like be a mentee under you because you're so great and you have this experience, and I think you can really point me in the direction that I really want to go into. And that can be the same for female professors, but especially because as it's commonly referred, like women have that sort of nurturing type of nature, and if it's in a male dominated field, I can understand that sometimes guys can be not to sound like them, but there's a like having women, it's like, oh, like there's a balance between masculine and feminine behaviors, and it's like, oh wow, like it's nice to be like, yes, just that comforting and having that nurturing nature incorporated into all of our academics and in however it may be displayed.
Yeah, definitely. I can think of quite a few like male professors that I would absolutely love to study under. Like there's 2 here that I'll tell you about off camera that I have like taken courses under now consistently. But then when I'm like thinking like if I wanted to write a thesis here, would I write under them? And then also some of them are also not tenured. So I can't write under them. Like it really limits who you can study with and who you can't study with. How about your experiences though, like in undergrad or here at Yonsei?
So in my case, in my undergraduate, the professors were mostly male, actually. So I was studying international relations back in Greece. And I think through my 4-year experience with 64 classes, only 3 female professors were actually teaching there, which of course wasn't ideal. And actually, that's one of the reasons I also applied to Ewha, because I wanted to see female professors, how they teach. But in the end, I chose Yonsei because my specialization was more towards sustainable development. And I really liked the academic program here. And on this note, there is one great professor that we have, female professor in Yonsei. And she's focusing on sustainable development. Her name is Professor Semiyun, if I can mention it. And that's why I chose this university. I really like her work and I would love for her to be my thesis advisor. So every week when we have class, I really feel like I'm learning a lot. And she motivates me because she's not just academics, she's also having practice in the field. She's doing amazing work in Tanzania and
that's so cool.
That's so cool.
So that's my experience so far.
Because I think it's important, like in each type of university, to have diversity. Like to have that right balance between males and women, because we need both views, right? We already live in it's true. We already live in a male dominant world, right? So to have that balance in your mind, and also when you go in the real world, it's good, because if you have only or mostly male or women professors, it's, in my opinion, there's no values or ideas that you are searching from both sides. It can help you view the world like in different ways.
And just like in those movies where you have the main character and they're different from how people have done things, and I guess it's the same thing. Like if you don't have the balance, you kind of eliminate the possibilities of new perspectives.
Exactly.
And you need to have that diversity in order to be like, hey, like actually let's look at it from this angle. And they're like, whoa, actually we never looked at it from that perspective before, but thanks for pointing it out. Like you have something like that we haven't been able to see. So but when you just have one one way of doing things, like it just it's damaging.
Yes.
I totally agree with what you said. I mean if everything is one-sided, that there's no progress, no improvement, no advancement.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really important, like, to find that medium and to be able to have discussions. Because sometimes what I've noticed is that if it's too female or if it's too male or however people choose to identify, if it's only them in the conversation, then others might not feel they can join the conversation.
Right.
And then we get into that problem of gatekeeping and saying like, oh, okay, well, you can't join this conversation because you're not XYZ.
Yeah.
And then how is people going to learn if they can't be part of the conversation?
Exactly.
And they can't ask questions. I think that's something that we also like kind of need to be aware of, especially in academics, is that it's okay to sometimes ask some of these questions and talk about some of these questions, and not be persecuted for doing so.
Yeah. From diversity, it comes conflict, right? And constructive conflict.
Yes.
Because, as you said, if you have one predominant gender, there's all the same line, right? And there's no conflict in between to spread other roads, right? So it's just going only one direction. So having that balance, as we said before, it's quite important.
A way to solve this issue would be to have more awareness and decrease gender discrimination from a very young age.
Exactly.
Yes.
So do agree.
And then go to academia.
Yeah.
Because a woman is going to become a doctor, like have a PhD in a very later age. And she has to, not only her, like boys as well, and later men, they have to know that, it's not a man or a woman thing, it's a human thing.
I'm so glad that we were able to have this conversation and I was able to hear from everyone and kind of understand more of your guys' backgrounds, where you're coming from, what has inspired you, and hopefully you might be able to inspire others to also pursue and do these types of things, have these types of conversations. That hopefully will happen. With that in mind, I'm going to wrap it up here for today. I want to thank you guys for taking time again out of your days to come and attend this. This has been the NOVAsia podcast. Don't forget to click subscribe, give a like, and thank you again so much for being here, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sara.